What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Driven Dave here. New kind of intro here. Before I forget, please smash that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Here, this is the 2022 Tesla Model 3 dual motor long range. I think I'm supposed to say long range first. And today we're doing like a 25,000 mile review on the car. It's got closer to 26,000, so I just wanted to get this out of the way before we go too far. As you can see, we've got the 18-inch Aero wheels here. I opted for the Aero wheels because number one, I didn't want to pay any more, and number two, this gives you maximum range. So this car is rated for 358 miles at 100% state of charge. I doubt you'll ever see that much, but still, that's what it's rated for. After 25, almost 26,000 miles, I have seen some degradation, so we are closer to, I think, 338, 334, something like that at 100%. But again, I never get that much out of it either. Driving style and conditions have a lot to do with that if you don't know. So I'm going to try and make this pretty brief. My opinion of the car has changed since I bought it, and I thought I would offer kind of like a unique perspective. I think like a lot of Tesla owners, you buy the car and it's like the greatest thing ever, you know, and then like I started to kind of see the true colors and maybe I wasn't as excited. And interesting thing happened in the last week. I went on a drive with some friends and kind of saw what this car is really capable of. And I gotta tell you, car is awesome. So this review, you know, I'll be objective about it, but then I will also be subjective. So I'm going to give you my bottom line, and that is like A++. I love this car. And I know I've been critical about certain things in the past, but as I said in the last week, some things have changed, and I'm all in. This is one of the most amazing machines you can buy. I mean, it's ridiculous the amount of performance and capability that you get right out of the box with this car, and the kinds of cars it can keep up with. This thing's a monster, like straight up. So I'm going to talk about the things that I like. Kind of, we're going to do it like Motor Week style. We're going to talk about like hits and misses. So the hits, it's efficient. So I think I'm averaging generally 240 to 260 watt hours per mile. So in general, I can do like all of my days driving for, I don't know, $6 to $10, which is pretty amazing. If I'm supercharging, obviously that's going to be a little bit more at 42 cents per kilowatt hour. At home, I'm paying, I think it's 18 cents per kilowatt hour on tier 1 and then 28 cents on tier 2. So you can kind of figure that out. And on an average day, I'll use anywhere from 10 to 50 kilowatt hours. So it just depends. As I mentioned, this thing is fast. And I mean, I ain't kidding you. It's fast. It will really, you can kind of keep up with just about anything. 0 to 60 is 4.2 seconds. That's about equal to my former 2006 Corvette. And probably much faster because you don't have to shift. And it just takes off. You can get an acceleration boost for an extra couple grand on this car. Brings that 0 to 60 down to 3.7 seconds, which is like rip your head off fast. And then if you get the Model 3 Performance, that's down to even 3.1 seconds, which is amazing. The handling from the all-wheel drive, the dual motor system, it's pretty ridiculous. Like you kind of get the car pointed in the direction, mat it, and you'll hear those front tires just pulling you right where you need to go. It's amazing, and it's really good in the rain. It's really good in the dry. It's just a really impressive car. As I said, it handles great. It's got comfy seats. We like that. It's not the most comfortable seat I've ever been in. I wish it had cooled seats, but it's okay. It's got heated seats, and those work really, really nicely. Nice heated steering wheel. Steering wheel's comfortable. It's easy to use. The controls are intuitive. It's good for naps. I'm a tall guy. I know it's hard to tell, but you know, I have long legs, and this feels really great. You know, there are roomier cars, but there are also like more cramped cars. But really, I sit in this thing all day, no issues, no back trouble. It's really, really great. Um, in a perfect world, I wish the seat cushions were maybe a little bit wider and a little bit thicker, but again, they're good seats, so no problem there. The tech in these cars, incredible. The autopilot works really well. It makes mistakes. It's not a perfect system, but you know, the fact that it can basically drive you around is pretty cool. If you're thinking about buying one of these, in my opinion, as of right now, and we're looking at April, like it's currently April 2023, I wouldn't mess with FSD. I would just stick with standard autopilot. It really works well. It does a good job like centering in the lane and also like following cars. So that works really well. I'm a huge fan. The other thing that's really cool about it is just kind of all the intuitive controls. It's got a very minimalist style interior, which I'm sure you're aware of. But you know, you just have two stalks and there are two buttons on the wheel, and that's pretty much it. Everything else happens through the screen. And once you get used to where stuff is, like, you're really not even like digging through the menus. It's really not a big deal. A lot of people complain about the glove box, but like, I only open the glove box every so often, so that's really not an issue. I mean, I can just hit the button and say, open glove box. So that's fine. You can also say, I'm cold, and then it'll raise the temperature. So, you know, the voice commands really make it nice. You really don't need all of those extra buttons. Because I think what bugs me about other cars is I get into them and I go like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do with all these buttons. And it takes you a while to kind of learn where all of those are. So, you know, it's like once you get used to like kind of the way Tesla does it, it's really hard to like go back the other way, in my opinion. But, you know, like I said, I'm really enjoying this. The stereo is really pretty fantastic, especially in this car. It's got the subwoofer in the trunk. Really amazing bass response, good treble. I mean, the sound's just kind of all around you. It's really great. So I like that. They've integrated iTunes into the infotainment. That works pretty well. It could be better, and I'm sure it'll get better with each software update. Also, you know, talking about the technology, you do get those software updates, and that is really cool. So the car is kind of always improving a little bit. I mean, sometimes an update goes through and you're like, I kind of missed that one feature they took away. But in general, they're adding features, they're adding games. The car has gone through, I don't know how many updates since I bought it, but that's really been a positive thing that I'm really impressed with. It's fairly roomy, but I mean, this is a pretty small car. I parked it next to a newer Prius, not the newest good looking one, but the one just before that. And they were almost like the same length. So it really is like the size of a Prius. You wouldn't even know it. But the styling is really cool. I like the way it looks. I like this shape. This is the Midnight Silver Metallic. I've got I put the mud flaps on there. I'll put a link in the description for those mud flaps. They're only about like 26 bucks, and they're really pretty cool. You know, they do break if you hit something. So I had to replace this one already, and I think I replaced the other front one. Stuff happens, but hey man, 26 bucks for 4 of them, you really can't beat that, and it really does a good job of protecting the side of the car. The car is filthy right now, and this color does a good job of hiding the dirt, I think. So let's talk about the misses. Like, I think maybe my biggest gripe about the car would have to be the weather stripping, especially around here. Like, sometimes I'll roll the window down and I roll it back up if I'm on the freeway, and then I hear air coming in. So that's something that I need to get addressed with service, and I'm definitely going to. It hasn't been a huge problem, but every now and then it's like I'll roll it down, roll it up, and then it's, you know, I hear just a little bit of that. That's kind of a drag. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you'll know that this roof panel was replaced due to a faulty seal. Kind of a bummer there. Also, this module on the other side did get water in it after a big rainstorm, so that had to be replaced. So like, water intrusion has kind of been an issue with the car. I also had water leaking in the frunk, again under heavy rainstorm conditions. So, and I've seen condensation in the taillights. So I don't know, that part is not great, but it's like, you know, all of these things that I don't like, kind of have to take it with the stuff you do like and see where it averages out. And then, you know, the big thing that a lot of people talk about is like the panel gaps and like the quality control, which is kind of what we're talking about. I watched a video. It was on the Out of Spec Detail channel, and if you haven't checked that out, do check him out. That's going to be Colton, who hosts that one, and he's like a really great detail guy, and he did a quality control check on a 2023 Model 3. And the stuff that he showed, like what to look at, I shouldn't have watched it, because then I looked at my car and I started seeing all of these problems. Like he started talking about headlight lens alignment and brake lens alignment, and I noticed my left rear tail light is kind of like bumping up against my trunk and rubbing. I'm like, oh. So it's like you'll see things, and I'm sure you'll find things on any car, but I think especially at Fremont, I think they're slapping these things together, trying to get them out the door. So, it's like, watch that video at your own risk, because you may not like what you find. Another thing that's kind of annoying, and I'll try and get some B-roll of this. Oh yeah, this is the other thing. So that's my phone key, which we're filming on right now. And the car doesn't want to open, which I guess is fair enough. It's far enough away. But I would say that feature works, I don't know, 60% of the time. It works every time. So we'll go ahead and unlock this way. You probably won't see it from your angle, but if you look right through here, and I've seen it on pretty much every Model 3, there's like some overspray, and you can see the primer panel. And again, kind of not what you would expect at this price point. But I think it's important to also remember you've got a battery that's worth what most cars are worth underneath it, and then there's a car built around that. So it's expensive for a reason, because it has some serious stuff in it, and that's kind of what makes that happen. So anyway, check your panel gaps at your own risk. Some of that stuff can be fixed, like when you take delivery of the car, and then some of it you kind of just have to go like, I guess my car is just imperfect, and you have to just take the good with the bad. So that's that. And kind of like the last thing that I forgot to mention, well, I'll talk about my last miss. And I would say, like, service is really pretty hit or miss. I actually just visited the service center in Camarillo, and that place is like one of the best places I've ever been to for any brand. Like, super duper awesome. So super happy with that. But my experiences at like Centinela and Van Nuys and Burbank maybe haven't been nearly as good as that. So the service experience overall hasn't been great. But shout out to my dude Sean. Thank you so much. And thank you to my buddy Zach for helping me out and telling me about that. So that was really awesome. Let's talk about another positive, even though it's kind of out of order. It has to be said, the charging network is super great. Like, I supercharge this thing quite a bit because, like, I drive a lot, and I've had zero supercharger problems. I tried to plug into a level 2 Electrify America thing, and it took me 15-20 minutes of just screwing around with it, messing with the app, calling support to finally get it to charge. And then, like, the second day I went back to the same charger, couldn't even initiate the charge, even on the phone. So, man, the Tesla charging network is, in my opinion, second to none. You plug it in and it just works. It's really, really great. So range anxiety is pretty much zero. Not to mention, I've got the long range, so I've got plenty of battery. So, no worries there. But I would say overall, after 26,000 miles, I would say, yeah, I'm all about it. I really can't imagine driving anything else right now for the crazy schedule that I have, and I can't imagine what would really do what this car does in the same way that it does it. So yeah, I'm overall very happy with the purchase, and I recommend it. I'm not saying like you have to go buy one, but if you're interested in one of these, I would say go ahead and do it. You can even buy a used one, 2018, 2019. Don't worry about it. I've got another video on the channel where I review a 2018 long-range dual motor, and then I've got another one where I talk about like the top differences between the 2018 and the 2022, like kind of newer generation of car. So check the link for those in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. Please share the video. Please comment. Help us out. And, let's build the Driven Dave community. I'd really appreciate it. All right, my friends, that's all I got. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down below. And until next time, stay driven. Bye.